The VR80 by Rock Island Armory. Let's check it out. The VR80, awesome firepower, baby. Rock Island Armory is known for its 1911s. In fact, they produce more 1911s than anyone else in the world. Based out of the Philippines, they have really produced a very fine line of budget-priced 1911s, and yet there's really good quality. One of my favorites is their 22 TCM with their 9mm conversion. That is a great round to shoot. I've done a number of reviews. But one thing that Rock Island has really kind of fallen into lately are shotguns. And we did a review on the VR60, which is an AR style shotgun with box fed, gas system, smooth shooting, and really loved that shotgun until we came out with the VR80. And that's what we have here. I mean, this is a really upgraded version of the VR60 with a lot of modern features on a lot of the AR-15s. And so we're going to take a look at a number of the things. This is also fairly customizable and extended magazines as well. This is a lot of fun to take to the range. And I want to thank Rock Island Armory for sending the VR80 for this review. Guys, we've had this for a little while, in fact, longer than we should have. And honestly, if I'd known how much fun it was, we would have gotten this review out months ago. All right, guys, the VR80. This, to me, is one of the coolest shotguns out on the market. I really like the VR60. It was very AR-15 looking, or AR-10, really, because it was so large. But the VR80, to me, takes this to a whole nother level. I really like the M-LOK handguard, and we'll take a more of an in-depth look, but you can see how much more streamlined it is. One thing I do like, though, are the 5-round box magazines. And one of the reasons you have, a tube, and you can put up to 8-9 rounds in a tube. But with a box magazine, you can switch these out really fast and have them loaded and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and open up the chamber, and it's empty. Now, one thing I do want to mention with this chamber is how smooth. And when you're shooting, it feels very smooth. Now, when you are reinserting a magazine, you do have this lip, and this is what keeps the bolt open. And so, sometimes if you don't push this forward, it'll kind of hang up just a little bit. Or it did more on the V60, actually. But I just bring it in, and it goes right in. Now, if it's loaded, you're not going to have that problem in the first place, because the rounds are going to take this and push down, and then it just disappears. So when it gets up to that level, it pops out, and it'll hold your bolt open, which I like. I like to have the bolt open. Now, it does have standard AR-15 controls. You have your mag release right here, so you can just drop the mag out. One thing about that is, with the bolt closed, it will drop out. With the bolt open, it's a little bit slower because of the tab that holds the bolt open. You have ambidextrous features for your selector switch. And of course, it's a little bit abbreviated on this side, but here on the other side, it's very much like your AR-15. Now you have your bolt release right here. It is large and it's easy to hit. Now the charging handle being on the right side is much like the AK. I mean, you reach under it, you can just pull this back and do whatever. But of course, there's no charging handle back here. But what's really cool about this charging handle is that when I bring this back, I can just pull this right out and then put it on the other side. So now I have it on the left side. That's pretty cool. And guys, to be honest, that's where I'm going to leave it. I like it on that side. The stock is definitely unconventional. I mean, it's more what they call the thumb hole stock. It makes it easier to import for sporting purposes, which this shotgun can be great for hunting, really good for 3-gun, especially with the extended magazines, or definitely for home defense. One of the great things is you can change this out for your standard AR-15 grip, and it is a commercial buffer tube back here, so you can take this off and attach a, whatever stock you want to put on here. But to be honest with you guys, I really like this stock. and the way it shoots, the way it feels, and this does not impede anything when you're using it. It does have a nice thick rubber butt pad, but guys, this gun is a very soft shooting shotgun, and a lot of that has to do with the weight. In fact, I weighed this on the scale with the magazine. It weighed right at 9 pounds. It is 70-75 T6 aluminum, both upper and lower, and that's one of the things about the VR60. It had polymer. This gets right into a really quality metal, and it's a nice anodized finish. And you do have flip up rear and front sights. I like that because you're ready to go right out of the box. And of course you can put any kind of optic on here, any kind of red dot or anything. And so it gives you, again, a lot of options. I really like these sights though, and I think really I would keep these on here. It has a nice quality handguard, and it does have M-LOK, and then you have Picatinny rail sections here on the other side and on the top. This is really thin. Your gas system's right here. We're going to take a look at that in a minute. And you have QD points as well, here and here. But it does have a sling attachment here and here on the front with your Picatinny rail. So you can actually take this off if you want to put some kind of attachment here, a light or laser or anything. And of course, again, your QD points. Now you will notice the barrel shroud, and it is fluted. Really gives kind of a cool look to the gun. But if this also kind of keeps the barrel cooler. But if you want to, you can take this off. And again, it is a barrel shroud, so it's just a piece. You have your barrel underneath, and there is a shorter adapter that you can put on here. Just lock it down, and it's good and tight. Now this is threaded, so this is going to allow you to be able to put some kind of muzzle brake or compensator or something on the end. But also it comes with a small box, and it has other chokes. It has the modified already installed, and you have a cylinder, bore, and then you have your full choke. And there's a small wrench to be able to change those out. Now to get to the gas system, just go ahead and take this barrel nut off, and then we can take the whole piece right here, and this just comes right out. Now this is your recoil system, and this is for light loads, and it's actually identified as light loads. There is a separate heavy load cylinder piece that you can put in here and just unscrew this and take it off. And that's one of the things about this firearm. It's very simple to change things out. Bring back your handguard. You want to make sure that it locks in at the top. Then you can bring your shroud or your shortened piece, and you can just tighten this down. And that will start to click when it gets close, just like this. Guys, you get 2 5-round steel magazines, polymer base plates. These really work well. But they also have available 9 and 19 round extended magazines that are aftermarket. You can see 5 rounds with the standard, 9 rounds with the medium magazine, and then we have 19 rounds. And a lot of people were asking, why 19, why not 20, why 9, why not 10? I guess the thing is, if you have 9 in there and 1 in the chamber, you have 10, and 19 plus 1 is 20. But, you know, maybe it's just the way this thing was set up. Now, one thing you do need to note is that on the larger 19 round magazine, it only takes 2 3/4 inch shells. But you can use 3 inches in the 9+1 and in the 5+1, and this does shoot 2 3/4 and 3 inch shells. Most of the shooting we did was with the Fiocchi high velocity 1330 feet per second, and they were 2 3/4 inch shells. But we did use some standard Winchester, just field loads, and it functioned very well. I want to thank Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo. We're using some high velocity 1330 feet per second. And we're also going to be using some lighter loads as well. One thing though you'll want to note is sometimes you can get jammed up on this brass, so it's good to push down, get a good solid clip into it, and it'll go in. Now, taking the VR80 out to the range, one of the first things you'll notice is that it's a very soft shooting gun. And one of the reasons is because of the recoil system that's built in. And so it really tames the recoil. And of course you can up it from the light loads up to the more heavy loads, and it's so easy to do. I mean, this gun is very simple, and yet it really is effective. Of course, with the 5-round box magazines, they're just excellent, great for quick reloading. And that's one of the big things about a box magazine over a tube fed, is that you can have those 5 rounds ready to go as soon as you empty that magazine. And they go in really solid, very smooth action. I mean, the action is just very smooth, fluid, I would almost say. And a lot of that has to do with the gas system. But when we went to the 9-round and the 19-round magazines, you have a lot of firepower, and it's really cool that they have that option. They do stick out, obviously, quite a bit, but it gives you a lot of capability. And one of the things about those magazines is right at first we had a couple of small hiccups, but overall they just function very well. And of course, with that many rounds and with that large of a magazine, I wasn't surprised. But I feel like that the more we shot it, we didn't have any problems toward the end. I mean, it was just feeding very reliably. Now, we took one of the old rubber dummies that we had shot already, about 15,000 rounds through. It had a big gaping hole already in the center. And so we decided to use that to test out the VR80. And this was just with high velocity Gyoki loads that we shot. And Robbie Wheaton took the wheel and he cut that thing clean in half. Well, the VR80 took out Rubber Dummy big time via Robbie Wheaton.
Almost took me down as well.
The beast. Look at that thing, man. It took it out. This is not good for your Rubber Dummy.
Woo!
But man, these things are fun. We took an old one to do this with, and it's a good thing. Now the VR80 is a lot like the AR. In fact, we can push out our pin right here. One thing you'll need to make sure though is you have your handguard off, because it's going to bind it right here. But see, you can actually raise this up, and then you have another pivot pin here, and you can push it out. So it's going to make it really easy to work on and do whatever you need to do, and then just close it up and you're locked in. That's one of the great things about the VR80, guys. If you have an AR-15 and you know it, this is going to be really simple. Now, a real appealing thing about the VR80 is I believe the manufacturer suggested retail is about $699. These should come in under the $600 range, which is great for a shotgun that is of this capability, especially with those extended magazines. And the magazines, I think the 19 rounds, they come in around the $50 to $60 range. And then the 9-round magazines are in the upper 20s, or just maybe about $30. And then of course you can get your extra 5-rounders as well. But a very smooth shooting firearm, a lot of capability. You know, you can change out your chokes, you can change out your gas system, you can change out your stocks. I mean, it is highly capable. And then of course you can put an optic on here if you'd like, if you want to do away with the front sight and the back sight. But to be honest with you, I like it, I think, the way it is. Very trim, even though it's fairly heavy at 9 pounds, it is a shotgun, and that does help with felt recoil, especially when you're shooting those, you know, buckshot or slugs. And I want to thank Rock Island Armory again for sending the VR80. Guys, I thought when the VR60 came out and we did the review, I was really stoked over that shotgun. Once the VR80 came out, the VR60 will stay in the safe. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Suit00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Firearms for generations, actually. Now to get to the gas system, we're gonna to get to the gas. One thing too is, and you'll notice. All right, let's start over. Let's just start this over, guys. First, ding. What kind of ding is that? 1,330. 130 feet per second. I can't get this smoothly anyway. Using the 5-round box magazines, I mean, they just fed excellent. Whoop! Down dummy. A great option, especially for 3-gun. If you want to take it hunting, or obviously for home defense. Or if it's the end of the world.